Have you ever noticed how in a world addicted to loud logos, viral trends, and overstated wealth signals, the most powerful people are dressing quieter than ever? Welcome back to GTWJ, where we don't just talk about fashion, we think deeper. And today we're unpacking the controversial hypnotic power of the row. Because, make no mistake, the row isn't just a fashion label, it's a cultural signal, a psychological weapon, and a status playbook written in shades of beige. Let's get into it. Founded in 2006 by Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, yes, the twins you grew up watching on your TV screen, the row was never meant for mass appeal. It was, from day one, about exclusivity disguised as simplicity. Minimalist, understated, but never ordinary. The row pieces don't scream for attention, and that's exactly their power. In a culture conditioned to equate luxury with logos, the row whispers, and the people who matter know how to listen. Psychologically, this is called costly signaling. It's when wealth and status are displayed through means that only other high-status individuals recognize. Think about it. A $7,000 coat from the row looks no different from a $150 wool jacket to the untrained eye. But to those in the know, it communicates discretionary wealth, insider taste, and cultural capital. And that's where the controversy starts, because the row operates in a paradox. It profits off the very system it pretends to reject, selling anti-consumerism to the world's wealthiest consumers. It's the uniform of those too rich to care about trends, but deeply invested in belonging to the elite circle of those who don't. Let's talk about the aesthetic storytelling. Each collection from the row feels like a meditation on absence. Muted tones, immaculate tailoring, perfectly oversized silhouettes. It's not about being seen, it's about being understood. And the message is clear: if you get it, you get it. And if you don't, you were never meant to. What stood out in their most recent runway? The deliberate absence of spectacle. No celebrities in the front row, no viral moments engineered for TikTok, just clothes. Clothes designed for a very specific kind of woman, one who doesn't perform luxury, she embodies it. And look at the figures embracing it: Kendall Jenner, Zoe Kravitz, Sophia Richie-Grainge, quiet luxury billionaires and old money families. It's not coincidence, it's strategy. The row has become the modern aristocracy's uniform. But here's the deeper truth nobody talks about. The row doesn't exist in a vacuum. Its power is amplified by what it's resisting. In a social media era drowning in loudness, algorithms, and fast fashion hauls, the row offers control. It's about opting out, about having the resources to not participate. And that's why it's intoxicating and unsettling. Because at its core, the row sells a fantasy that is fundamentally unattainable to most. Not because of the price tags, although they are astronomical, but because true cultural capital isn't bought. It's inherited or carefully, quietly built over decades. The row is a symptom of a deeper hierarchy. So the next time you see a pair of flat leather sandals priced at $1,300 or a coat so quiet it almost disappears, no, this isn't about fabric. It's about psychology. It's about the performance of effortlessness, the politics of luxury, and the silent language of power. And we need to talk about what that means for fashion culture, for new designers, for how we express identity and belonging. Because when style becomes so discreet, it's invisible. It stops being about personal expression and starts being about exclusion. Follow us on Instagram, GTWJMag, for deeper breakdowns like this. And visit gtwjmag.com for exclusive essays, fashion business insights, and more. GTWJ, where fashion thinks deeper. And let's be honest, the row's dominance isn't just about taste. It's about control. Control over narrative, control over who gets invited to the room, control over what counts as good taste and who decides it. Because if you really think about it, the row didn't just disrupt fashion trends. It rewrote the rules for what luxury even means in the 2020s. The old formula of status being measured by monogram prints and paparazzi-ready outfits crumbled when people realized the ultimate flex is not needing to prove anything to anyone. And that's where the row's power gets uncomfortable. It holds up a mirror to the industry's obsession with visibility and throws it back with indifference. It says, I don't need your approval because I already have mine. And in a culture addicted to validation, that's what makes it dangerously magnetic. But here's the controversy fashion insiders are whispering about. Is this radical restraint a new kind of elitism? Because while influencers and brands flood TikTok with get ready with me hauls and low-drenched outfits, the row remains carefully absent from the conversation. And in doing so, they maintain scarcity. Cultural currency isn't just about what people see, it's about what they can't have access to. And then there's the resale economy. Have you noticed how second-hand pieces from the row hold value better than almost any other contemporary brand? That's not by accident, it's by design. The brand was built to resist obsolescence. No obvious logos, no seasonal prints, no gimmicks, just perfectly crafted staples that signal timeless wealth. And let's look at how this ties into the psychology of scarcity. In consumer behavior, what is scarce is perceived as more desirable. By keeping production runs small, rarely granting interviews, and avoiding overexposure, the row positions itself as a members-only club for those who already belong to a certain cultural echelon. And yet that's the paradox. It sells the illusion of anti-status while operating within one of the most hierarchical industries in the world. Luxury has always been about gatekeeping. The row just found a quieter, more intellectually coded way to do it. What's fascinating is how it impacts adjacent brands too. Celine under Philo, Loro Piana, Kite to Tame, all moving in that same muted monastic aesthetic lane. Because brands know when the ultra-rich pivot away from logos, the market follows. And this isn't just fashion, it's a reflection of cultural fatigue. People are burnt out on trend cycles moving at breakneck speed, on influencer overexposure, on viral collaborations. The row taps into a collective craving for restraint, for something that isn't screaming for attention, and that makes it rebellious in its own quiet way. So what does this mean for the future of luxury? It signals a shift where brand power won't be dictated by volume or virality, but by cultural credibility, by who can remain elusive the longest, by who controls the conversation without needing to enter it. And that, GTJ fam, is a power move. If you want more of these deep fashion psyche dives, follow us on Instagram at GTWJMag. Hit subscribe because this is where we peel back the surface of style and get into what it really means. GTWJ, where fashion thinks deeper.